Record.
Hello and welcome to the Cousins Football Fix podcast. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from at whatever time. This is always the podcast we listen to. I'm Jack and I'm joined by Christopher.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about a few things on this podcast, one of them being the biggest Premier League news this week, and it has been the ongoing saga at Manchester United. Erik ten Hag has been sacked following a string of poor results, and the club has replaced with Ruben Amorim from the 11th of November.
After talking about Man United tonight, we'll be also talking about Arsenal and Liverpool respectively. Starting off with Ten Hag being sacked. It was inevitable, wasn't it? They should have done it in the summer, really. But they put it off, decided to give him a new contract in the summer. And then a few months in, they've had to bite the bullet to sack him after a string of poor results. You could say they've not been up to the standard of Man United. Growing up, Man United was the biggest club in the world. I still think they are. Currently, they're going through a blip. When will they come out of that blip? Who knows? Um, what do you think about the current situation, Jack?
I think Ten Hag really should have been released from Man United following the end of last season. I think it was going down and down and down, and it was inevitable that he wasn't fit enough to do the job. I'm not sure where it all started, the downfall, but I don't think Ten Hag is the main person to blame.
No, I do feel sorry for managers because I think managers are an scapegoat, as to say. If the club's not performing, then yeah, okay, the manager has to take some of the blame for it. They take some of the credit for when they're doing well. Um, but you pick your best 11 players each game to go play the football. Yes, they do represent you as a manager and how you see the game and how you want your team to play. I don't think in the 2 and a bit years under Ten Hag that we actually saw a style of play or anything similar to that. You look back to the Ajax team that got to the semi-finals of the Champions League against Tottenham. You knew what Ajax was all about. They had quality players. You knew how they played front to back. There's a style there. Was he able to bring that style over to Man United, do you think?
I think I think he wasn't able to bring his style of play over to Man United, and I don't think he really had a clue in the transfer window this season either at the start of the season because of the players he brought in. He was panic buying. I think they wasn't a good enough fit for the squad. You got two centre backs, a striker, a right back, and a centre mid. Now, Man United are a solid squad. Well, they should be on paper. However, they're not putting that performance out onto the pitch. And I also think releasing Sancho will start the downfall this season.
Oh yeah, Sancho went to Chelsea on loan, hadn't he? Um,
Yes.
I do think one of the downfalls of Ten Hag was, and don't get me wrong, he had a lot to deal with. He had the Cristiano Ronaldo situation where he went on Piers Morgan and just slated the club and everything about it.
They
Which,
had the Mason Greenwood situation as well.
yep, and he fell out with Sancho. Now, yeah, it's one of them. It's 50-50. Do you believe the player? Do you believe the manager? He wasn't training well enough, right? Okay, but why wasn't he training properly? You outed him in public, then he lashed back. It created a bad taste for everyone involved, probably. Um, it's it was worrying at the time. I think the most worrying thing was the most dangerous, damaging thing was probably Ronaldo's interview with Piers Morgan. I think that signalled a big downturn for Man United, as in the way it was probably looked at from the outside, because I didn't know what the training ground was like, and him saying the training ground's not been touched in 20 odd years, and it's still the same from when he left first time. It's not real great advertisement, really.
No, but then again, you can't blame the manager for the facilities. You've got to be blaming the board of directors and the owner of the club.
Well, yeah,
That isn't solely on the manager. It's up to them to bring it up to date. And to be honest, since I don't know 2008, 2009, I think the facilities are still back in the 90s.
yeah, yeah, that is true. I do believe it's not the manager's fault because the manager can't do anything about it. But I do think the way he spoke about the manager and I think it opened the eyes up to a lot of fans to how backwards Man United was and how far behind Man United was of the current standard. You look at Tottenham Stadium, look at Etihad Campus and the training facilities that other clubs have got that are top of the league and the best teams in Europe. They are the best for the reason. They have the best facilities. And yes, I get finances and all money restrictions and PSR in the Premier League and all that. But Man United is the biggest club in the world. It probably brings in the most revenue in the world. Definitely in the Premier League. It definitely brings in the most money in the Premier League. You look at pre-season tours when they go to Asia and that lot. They're queuing the streets to get a glimpse of them. So yeah, it's a big club. Ten Hag, was he out of his depth? The Dutch league isn't particularly the best league in Europe, is it? I would probably say it's definitely top 10, but you've got the big five, and then you've got the couple behind it, or the Portuguese league six, where Almiron is obviously currently with Sporting. So maybe Almiron will be better suited to the Premier League because he's got at least two other big clubs chasing him at Sported with Benfica and Porto, where Ajax, you might only have PSV. If you're lucky, the odd season you might get Feyenoord, um, Challenger. So it's not the most competitive league, but yeah, looking at Almiron coming in and his style of play, I don't know if you saw last night, Jack, that Sporting beat Man City 4-1.
Yeah, I think Pep is shaking his boots that after that performance last night over one of the teams that is the biggest teams in the Premier League at the moment. I feel like Pep might be thinking, hang on a minute, let's look where we went wrong. Let's decide what we can do here to go against his style of play when we play them home and away, or maybe in cup games. Obviously, they won't get them in Champions League this year, but they've still got to play them in the league.
Yeah. Um, and there was rumours with Pep's contract coming up at the end of the season, and they've changed their sporting director at City to the sporting director that was at Sporting. So there were rumours that Almiron was tipped to take over from Pep in the summer. I've also read that Almiron did ask Man United if he could start at the beginning of next season, sorry. And Man United flat out said it's now or never that you join the club. And I'm not being funny. Man United, come calling. You don't say no to a club like that, do you, Jack?
No, I think there's some clubs that you just don't say no to, and Sporting he has been there for a while now. I think he's played like something like 121 games. and he's only lost 27 and drawn 28. So he is a massive figure for the fans and the club at Sporting. But I do think you've got to take your chance. And if there's a club out there that's wanting you and reached out to you, and they're more publicly known worldwide, they've got more backing, more financial backing, I think you've got to take it.
I saw a picture in the week. I don't think I've shared it with you, but it was when Amorim was playing for Braga in a European competition. I can't remember which one it was, and it was at Old Trafford. And the picture is him and Johnny Evans playing for Man United at the time. And it's just funny to think that all these years later, he'll be coaching Johnny Evans at Man United.
Yeah, obviously that's a bit before my time, but I just feel like Man United was such a big club back in the day. Obviously, we're not talking 50, 60 years. We're really talking 10, maybe 15 years ago that there was such a big club and there was a threat in the league. Whereas now they're just turning out under these new managements like, I don't know, the biggest downfall. It has been the biggest downfall since David Moyes took over.
Yeah,
They've had
yeah,
Mourinho. They won the European League and the League Cup, and then they
yeah,
had Ole Gunnar and Ralph Rangnick, sorry, and it then led to Ten Hag. I don't think Ten Hag is to blame. I think you're looking 2015ish that it started to take a downfall.
yeah. David Moyes took over 10 years ago. Funny enough, 10 years ago was when Sir Alex left. It was the 13-14 season. It was David Moyes' first season. I don't think he was a bad coach. He's obviously gone on to win the Europa League with West Ham a couple of years ago. So he's proven he can win trophies given time. But yeah, as you were saying, previous managers, you've got David Moyes, Louis Van Gaal, who won the FA Cup and was sacked after finishing fifth in the league. Mourinho, everyone knows about Jose Mourinho, one of the best coaches around. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean,
he's won Champions League galore with a few clubs, hasn't he?
yeah, and he's like, going back to Louis Van Gaal, where you just said he was sacked after finishing fifth in the Premier League. Now that's expected for Man United. That they're lucky to get up to fifth.
Well, yeah,
Look at last season. If they're still going back off the, I don't know how to word it, the successfulness of Sir Alex Ferguson, they've said fifth isn't good enough. So why now Man United is currently sat mid-table?
well, they're not mid-table, are they? They're bottom half, aren't they? Comfortably at the minute. They're closer to the relegation zones than they are to any European qualification. But yeah, after Marino, he won the Europa League and the League Cup. Um, but then was dismissed after a poor run of form. And then you get Solskjaer brought in as caretaker, beat PSG in that game, and then was appointed permanently. But once again, he was sacked after a poor run of results. He'd gone through COVID, that weird phase of football, was sacked.
Yeah, behind closed doors and no
Yeah,
fan. And yeah,
it
it
was,
was it was a very strange time. COVID was for football,
yeah.
especially for the likes of Liverpool, who was on track to win the league, and the season just got cancelled like
No,
it never existed.
they still won the league. It was delayed one, they pushed it back. And then they brought Ralph Rangnick in, who is currently at Austria, um, as their head coach. He was brought in as interim to see him out for that season before Ten Hag came in, and was told that he could be director of football, and made all these promises to him that it would be you're already in charge for 6 months, and then you move upstairs. At the end of that, they just decided to get rid of him because they just didn't do the job. Ten Hag then came in, and fair enough to Ten Hag, he's won 2 cups. He won the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup last season, beating Man City in the final, which was probably his best game in charge, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching the game, and it was a very interesting game, and he did manage his squad well. It's just what has happened. It could have been something that happened on a training pitch, or something in the locker room, or it could be anything that has created this massive upset for him just not to be backed by the players anymore.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like the players are giving up and they don't run. And I've watched United on and off for years, and they just don't run. They don't. It's the lack of effort to be that they don't give. And I'm not saying the players don't care, because surely to God, all players care about playing football. You play football to win games. That's why you started playing football, for the love of it. But it's the basics. You have to run. Um, but yeah, going back to last night's game, the 4-1, there was obviously an hat trick by Victor Coquerez. Um, he'll be wanted galore in the summer, no doubt. He was wanted this summer, but no one could prize him out of Sporting. He's got 23 goals this season, Jack, in 18 games, which ain't too bad. He has scored 7 goals in his past 2 games.
See, it's stats like that and players like that you want at a club, and with people having interest in them already. Do you reckon, as Amorim is taking over United, do you see him coming over to the English club this season?
Well, that's the conversation that and the rumours that have been going on, haven't they, in Jan, that Gokrez could be coming over. Um, there's probably a couple of players he'd want to bring. I like their one of their defenders, Dembele. He's a decent defender, brilliant defender, really young, great potential. Is 6'2", 6'3", quite dominating in the air, and probably could marshal that back three pretty well. If you think of United, they've got 3 decent centre backs, I'd say. You've got Martinez that'll play on the left because he's left footed. You've got Delit probably through the middle, and when that Leniaro is fit after his injury that he gained in pre-season, he'd probably sit at the right centre back. So I think in the summer transfer window that you alluded to, they brought 2 centre backs in. They were looking at Breathwaite from Everton. He's left footed as well. Maybe they go revisit that in the summer. Maybe 'cause he's another player that's over 6 foot and has got the height to dominate. Maybe they go that way if he wants to play his free. So the but who's to say he's going to play his formation and his system? Is is he going to try and make a system to work for United? Do you think that's a way he could go, or do you actually think his system now is going to work for United?
I mean, looking at his system, it's clearly worked out well so far this season. I mean, they've played 10 games, they've won 10. They've scored 35 goals and they've conceded 3 goals. So their system of this tiki-taka, old school Spanish international team kind of play is working for Sporting. But you do ask a good question and you do bring it up, will it work at United? Now, we don't know this for sure. However, it's one of them situations where a manager's going to a club where he can't choose his team, he can't bring his own players. So he's got to sort of experiment with the players and onto the training pitch, in the training ground, day in day out. He's got to bring in this new style of play that they wouldn't have played for a couple of seasons. Really, they're going for long balls. They're not really running. They just pass it round the back. I think United should try and learn his style of play. However, I don't think he would be able to push it onto the players that are at the club.
No, and my other train of thought is really that do you give him January to bring some players in, or do you tell him shop shut, you've got what you've got, work with it, so you can see what we've got in house going into the summer, and you've got a better opinion to what we have, so you can go into the market and then see what you need and attract the players. Because I think if they go into the market in January, I don't know how they are for PSR. Could they break that if they start going out buying? I don't know. I know they were close last year. Yeah, it's one of them really. I wouldn't be buying new players. I'd let him work with what we've got in house.
Well,
Really, what do you
it's
think?
funny you say that because football is a business, and at the end of the day, they want to make money. That's what these owners are doing. Owners in the Premier League, especially, they're not there for the fans; they're there for the money. So I think they should. I think they would honestly. I think they would turn around and go, look, shop shut. These are your players. Deal with it. Go again in the summer. But if they want to start, I mean, FA Cup round, third round starts in the new year. Why can't they bring in some players, some young players, even if it's on loan or some free agents? They've got the scouting ability there for them to go, right, this lad from this Turkish league, Division 3, he can come to us, free agent, or bring him in on loan, pay him 2 grand a month, some, I don't know, short term loan with a promise to buy if they win the FA Cup or get through to the final. I think
Yeah,
there's ways to get around the financial fair play by doing that kind of stuff, but do Man United want to end up with a 40-man squad?
a bit like Chelsea, really.
Yeah, a bit like
Yeah,
Chelsea and Forest last season.
yeah, I see what you mean. Personally, they've got a big enough youth academy and youth team to do that. I don't think they'll need to bring in free agents or loan young lads in. I think they've got a big enough academy, and Man United are known for bringing their young lads through. Um, just a quick question before we finish on Man United and Ten Hag and Amorim. This season, it's been a bad season for them so far. They are definitely bottom half of the table, closer to relegation than they are. They currently sit 13th with 12 points after 10 games. Where do you believe they will finish? I still think they can get 4th to 8th, personally. I think the top three at the end of the season will be Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal in whatever combination. But I do believe United have now got to fight off Chelsea, Tottenham, Villa, Brighton, potentially for European places. It's going to be a hard slog. They're what 4 points behind Tottenham at the minute. I know there's lots of games. There's still a lot of games to go. There's 28, but I do think there's a lot to make up. Where do you think, Jack, that they can finish this season?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be difficult. But if he can get some players in over January in the winter transfer market, I've got a feeling he can get up there to possibly fifth, at least into Europe. I mean, like you've said, they've got 28 games left. We're still early doors. We're they're only 6 points behind Arsenal, and they're currently sitting in fifth. Like you say, like you know yourself and the listeners will be knowing. December teams drop after December. You get teams that all across the English League, the EPL, National League, EFL, everywhere. They all start to drop after winter. So I think your likes of Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are doing well at the minute. Oh, and Forest, I think Forest is going to drop drastically. I think they're just in a glory state at the minute. But yeah, I believe they can get Europe, just missing out by a point, if that.
Yeah, so uh, a quick look at what I'd put as his formation before we finish and move on to Liverpool and Arsenal. So, would we agree that Onana would start in goal?
Yes, however, I do think a new keeper is needed after the past couple of games and the back end of last season.
Okay, so I've got a back three of Martinez, De Ligt, and Yoro when Yoro's fit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So then the four in midfield. So on the left wing, I've got Mazraoui, Ugarte, Manu, and Delot. But Ugarte was at Sporting with Almiron before he got sold to PSG for 60, 70, maybe 80 million. Can't quite remember. Do you think that would be the best two midfielders in Ugarte and Manu, using Delot as a right wing back and Mazraoui as left wing back? Bearing in mind they haven't got a full left sided defender, as in Luke Shaw and Malacia haven't been fit for the last year, really.
I believe Ugarte is he is a quality player, and I think under Ten Hag he wasn't reaching his potential. And Mainu, we saw in the Euros for England, he came out of his shell and he was a quality player. He did play well in the Euros. He got a couple of saves. I can't remember exactly how many goals, but I remember he got a few goals. And he was a key player in that squad, so I believe he's a key player in the Man United squad as well.
And then, as a front three to say, I've got Bruno Fernandes one side with Garnacho the other, and Oyland through the middle, which obviously means Rashford doesn't make the starting 11. What do you think about that?
You see, Rashford, I don't really rate Rashford as a player. I think he's cocky, he's a show off, is I've got money, let me throw it in your face. He has a strop. He believes he's the best player on that pitch, and I think sometime the bench will do him some good.
So, do you agree with the front three of Bruno Fernandes, Hoyland, and Garnacho?
Yes, I do. I think with Sancho going on loan, it's uh, it's not the best. I think when he comes back, he'll be taking on Garnacho's place any day of the week.
So then, I think that's enough about United and their situation with their new manager and how we believe that they will play and get on in the coming up season.
So moving on to Liverpool, I mean, Salah's contract is uncertain. Mohamed Salah's future at Liverpool remains in the dark as the Egyptian forward has reportedly shit. The Egyptian forward is reportedly unhappy with his current contract and could leave the club this summer. Trent and Van Dijk are running out of contracts as well this summer. So now, Christopher, my question to you is, how big of an impact do you think these players leaving the club will have on the club, and who do you think is likely to replace them?
Well, where do you start? Mohamed Salah for Liverpool is Mr. Liverpool in modern era. Last 3 or 4 years, maybe five, when did he sign? Joined in 2017, so yeah, about 7 years he's been there. Um, yeah, how do you replace someone with the goals and assists that Mohamed Salah gets every year? He's guaranteed 20 plus league goals. So if you go deep into cup competitions, you're probably looking at 30 goals a year. You're probably looking at 15, 20 assists. for his teammates. So Salah wise, I don't think you can replace Salah. And if you do replace someone of Salah's quality, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay an arm and a leg, I'd say. A massive arm and a leg for someone like that. Van Dijk, what is he now? 32, 33. I think in the current market, there's centre backs that are more better on the ball than what Van Dijk is.
Yeah.
Because Van Dijk to me is he's a good defender. He organises the back. He doesn't really score many goals going forward from corners or set pieces. He gets the odd few now and then. Doesn't really provide much assists either. Yeah, he's a good defender. Organises the back, like I say. But yeah, I do think in the market at the minute, centre backs probably looking worldwide. You could probably get a centre back that is, even if he's 75% Van Dijk, he's going to be younger, he's going to be cheaper, and in 2 or 3 years, he's going to be Van Dijk, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're talking like from the South American club. I think that's where the developments are coming through, and it's
Yeah,
seen throughout Europe.
or someone even like in Portugal, they've got a lot of centre backs that are pretty decent down there. Like I said about Sporting, they've got Dembele there that's decent, and he could have a pick of clubs if he really wanted to. Trent on the other end, uh, Trent, could you replace him? Yeah, I think there's players out there that are just as good. Now you're not going to be as good as Trent on the ball. Trent's probably one of the best players with the ball at his feet, without doubt. His delivery, his touch, his passing, brilliant. Trent's weakness is defending. He can't defend, and being a right back, it's kind of important. Um, so yeah, so it's plus Trent being one of their own, as to say, come through the academy. He's a Scarser.
It's the only club he's known. I think he'll struggle trying to fit in somewhere else if you understand, especially with fans.
Yeah, I do think there's one club that he'll go to, and I think there's only one club he'll probably leave Liverpool for, and I think it's the one club that he will definitely go to, and it's the way they have done their business as of late, as per se, is by signing quality players as free transfers, and that's Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid need a right back. They've needed a right back for years, to be honest. They've got Danny Carvalho, who's currently injured, and he's their only main right back. You put Trent into that team going forward. I think it's basically. I think you're too young, Jack, to remember the Galacticos, at Real Madrid.
No,
Uh,
can't remember them.
no, like it's Roberto Carlos, Zidane, Beckham, quality players. I think they've quietly and slowly built that with what they've got now. Definitely going forward in midfield and attack.
Yeah,
Defensively, yeah,
I think Trent would be good behind Bellingham, Vardy, and Mbappe all on that side. However, I just don't think that Matilio, or I could never say his name right, I don't think he will be the perfect centre back to match with Trent.
yeah. I think they've obviously got David Alaba when he's fit. He plays centre back and he's athletic and can cover. So I think they'll use him that way. If for me, I see Trent going to Real Madrid. Salah, for me, I can't see him staying. Honestly, if he was going to stay, it'd be a big contract renewal statement Mohamed Salah signs new Liverpool deal. Done. Big news. Club celebrate it. Happy feel around the club. The only place I can see Mohamed Salah leaving now, and unfortunately, it's the retirement league in Saudi Arabia. Out there, probably for El Nasser or Al Halal, one of them.
It's funny
And
you
then,
say that because I would have said exactly the same thing. I think it is. I was thinking about it today when we said that we was going to record, and I didn't know if you were going to ask me that question or not. But I do believe Salah will go to Saudi Arabia.
yeah, and then for me, I can see Van Dijk signing because I don't think there's that much interest in Van Dijk being age 32, 33, unless he goes to Saudi Arabia too, which I could see, but I don't think he would because I don't think he's that kind of player to go out there for the money. You look at Jordan Henderson last year, went out there 6 months and come back to Europe. He didn't get paid, so he says. But yeah, I do think Van Dijk out of all of them, out of the three of them, definitely stays.
While we're still on Liverpool, can I ask you another question?
Yeah,
Uh, do you think the departure of Klopp has contributed to the uncertainty of players' contracts and their feelings towards the club and the management?
personally, no, because the thing towards the club, it's not like they've sacked him, have they? They've not sacked Klopp and got rid of him. So towards the club, I don't think there's bad feelings there. I think it's natural for a player to get into the last year of the deal and to kind of like look what might be out there. But I think it's natural for players when a new manager comes in and a new coaching team to kind of wait it out a little bit to see what happens. Klopp, a massive character, and was Mr. Liverpool, took on Pep, won the league, won the Champions League. Could you, here's a question for you, Jack, could you see Klopp being Liverpool's version of Sir Alex Ferguson? And I know Arnie Slot's come into a better squad that David Moyes took over, but could this be a downturn for Liverpool after such a big manager?
Well, I think Klopp's been there for years upon years. He's practically part of their trophy cabinet. I mean, look at the success he brought to the club. So yes, we are going to see for a few seasons that there is going to be a downturn in Liverpool as a football club and a team just because of the character he was, the success he gave them. But like you just said, he has left a good squad behind, and they are currently sitting in first.
Yeah, I think going back to a bit of Man United right now, I can remember when Sir Alex Ferguson left. That squad he left wasn't a title winning squad. He got the maximum out of that squad. There's a lot of aging players in that squad, a lot of players that were improved by Sir Alex and got that energy off Sir Alex, if you know what I mean. And I think Klopp is kind of that person. But like you say, Liverpool are top of the league. They've got the best defensive record in the league at the minute. But that's because they didn't bring anyone in the summer. So they've got the same squad that Klopp had last year, which isn't a bad squad. The only question is going forward, if you lose two of the three, how does the club replace them going forward?
It's going to be difficult, and it goes back to again. I mean, they're not going to go out and spend 165 million pounds on a player. They're going to go looking for the. It's not going to sound a lot, but it is a lot. They're going to be looking for, I don't know, 40 million, 43 million. We'll take them from someone from like Feyenoord or we're going to, or we'll go to, I don't know, Bayern Munich and buy this and right back. They're going to go to the big clubs and spend as little money as possible because Liverpool aren't a really big spending club. I mean, look at Mo Salah. He came from Chelsea. He was a Chelsea reject, and now he's one of the best players in the world today. Look at the successes,
Yeah, I think
and I think that's all down to Jurgen and his point of training and his belief in the players and the club.
yeah, I think your term of Chelsea reject, there's a few of them that are floating around that could be deemed definitely not failures. One at Man City, Kevin De Bruyne. Maybe that's
Yeah,
another topic for another episode, looking at Chelsea's past and the players that have gone on to be better. We might be able to put that in the bank. Right, Jack, I want to move on to Arsenal right now. Um, yeah, they've had 2 years of chasing the league and coming up short. They've come into the third season this year. They've spent a bit of money this season. They've spent 91 million this summer net spend.
oh god, that's big noise, big, big, big bucks, isn't it? That is.
Well, it's net spend that is. So they've spent more than that, but after bringing in what they've brought in, it's still a spending of 91 million. So they've brought in a couple of players. David Raya was obviously his loan was made permanent from last year, who I can't argue with. Is probably at the minute the best keeper in the league. Alisson's out injured. Edison's hit and miss. And then they brought in Calafori from Italy, who is plays left back, left centre back, left footed. We saw in the Euros he's pretty decent. Arsenal at the minute struggling. They've had an up and down start to the season, but in all fairness, they've had key injuries. Saka's missed a few games. Odegaard currently tonight, as we're recording it, is back in the matchday squad. I've seen for the game in Europe, so that's a positive. And Tomiyasu is currently out injured. But yeah, Jack, their suspensions in the league a bit silly, aren't they?
It, it, they've been handed silly red cards with key players like Rice against Brighton when they was at home. They drew 1-1. Trossard against City away 2-2, both kicking the ball away, and Sabella was pulling the shirt of the player, and he was chasing, sorry, versus Bournemouth, and ended up losing 2-0 away.
Yeah, so then red cards have cost them what 7 points, you could say. They were 2-1 up at City, obviously as well, and I'm pretty sure if I can remember right, they was winning against Brighton when the red card happened. Um, so it's not great. Their own form this season hasn't been too bad. They've got 11 points from 5 games, 3 wins, 2 draws. They've scored 12 goals, but conceded 6 for a team that's got had last year probably the best defence. Their away record is a bit poorer. 7 points from 5, 2 wins, 1 draw, and then 2 losses. But they've only scored 5 goals and conceded 5 away from home. So obviously they're not scoring goals with missing the likes of Odegaard and Saka, and they're conceding goals quite often at the minute.
Yeah, the, the, the Arsenal's one of them teams where they can do so well and so well and so well, but they're not recycling the players. They're playing the same squad almost every. They've got the same starting 11 almost every game, and when they're getting these injuries, they haven't got the experience on the bench with playing in that squad for them to go, come on, mate, you're on. You played in the squad. You could do well. It's always the same players and it's the same mistakes. and it's the same silly mistakes at the back that hence why they're not doing so well so far.
Do you think the injuries to key players, compromised by the red cards, has damaged their squad as much out of the top three, said best three clubs in the Premier League, Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal? Uh, who has the best squad? Do you think on paper?
On paper, I honestly think that City have the best squad.
Will
Only due to the fact that they've got money behind them, and if Man City's just got money's no object. I mean, look at all the penalties in court for it at the minute and all the charges, but that's another day. But on paper, if you're not looking at money and if you just got a cap on money, then you're looking at Arsenal. They have got one of the best squads in the league. I mean, 3 seasons now, Arteta's gone for the to win the league, and he's just missing out on little points. That's a draw. I mean, they've played 7 games away. They've only had 2 wins. What if they could have got another point out at one of them games, or if they didn't get the silly red card? The chances can happen where that point might just put you up above City. But I don't think there's any chasing Liverpool down this season.
so what happens to Arteta then if for the third season in a row they can't win the league? He's been there what 5 years? 2019 he joined.
I think
Does do they look at a different manager or do they keep the faith and go again by pumping another 100 million into the squad? Because I don't think Arsenal's squad is the best. I think they've got a good 11 squad wise. No, I don't. To be honest, I don't think it's great. I think I probably think United squad is probably better than Arsenal squad. Not 11, just the squad. Um, Chelsea's squad is definitely better than Arsenal's. I think they've got more depth as they've got two different squads at the minute, one for Europe, one for the league. But yeah, I don't think. Do they keep Arteta? What do you reckon, Jack?
I think Arteta is a very big personality and it is a role model towards the young players that come in, like the likes of Saka. I think he's played for Arsenal. He had some of his best moments of his career there, and I just think if nothing happens this season, I think the board members and everyone should have a massive meeting and go, look, we want we want to be number one, we want to be top dogs. What do you need to help us? And he might turn around and go, I might need an extra couple of million on wages, or I might need a bit more in the budget, or I might need some facilities upgrading. You know, I think he will have another crack at it, and I think if he doesn't win the 25-26 season, I think that's game over, lights out for Arteta.
Yeah, my only problem is I don't see who can come in. Um, I don't see what managers are out there that can come in. There's not many top managers around. I think Man United have got the best one out there, personally, of up and coming managers. I don't know for sure because I don't really watch a lot of European football.
Yeah.
Really, the only other manager out there that I know of that is out of work is Xavi. He got sacked by Barcelona in the summer. Do you go that way? Do you try and get him to bring in the Barcelona way of playing? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, Jack. But yeah,
So with
That's
you going on about the squad,
yeah,
and saying like they've got the best starting 11. Now one of them players in the starting 11 is Declan Rice.
yeah.
How do you feel of him being in the squad, but so far this season not having an assist or a goal?
Well, you've got to look at the team, haven't you? So for me, Arsenal's best player and the most influential player would be Odegaard. They've missed him for a couple of months. He got injured on international duty in Norway, I think in September. He played a few games and that was it. I think they're missing Odegaard from midfield, definitely. I think Odegaard back in there with Rice, I think it gives that freedom to both players. I think if Rice goes, Odegaard kind of sits a little bit deeper, or they both can go and they play Partey deeper. But I know at the weekend against Newcastle, Thomas Partey played right back because they've got no defenders. They had Saliba injured, Calafiori's not fit, Tommy Asso, obviously the right back, isn't out injured. So they've got injuries. They're struggling defensively. I think once you are struggling defensively, I think that's it. Declan Rice, you have to sit deeper to kind of like sweep and help your defence out a bit more. And then you obviously lose him his
In
attacking presence that
midfield.
we saw. Yeah, the attacking presence that we saw end last season where he was scoring goals and getting the assist. Right, Jack, I think that's enough for the
The
big
Arsenal.
news. The big news this week. I think it's time for weekend catch up.
Yeah, so obviously this weekend in the Premier League we had Newcastle winning 1-0 at home against Arsenal. See, there's Arsenal again losing. We had Bournemouth winning 2-1 against Manchester City, one of the biggest upsets so far this season. Liverpool unexpectedly win against Brighton 2-1. Tottenham a massive 4-1 against Villa at home. United drew 1-1 with Chelsea. Ipswich also drew 1-1 with Leicester. Forest 3-0 against West Ham. 3 goals for the amount of positions they are in the Premier League. Southampton 1-0 against Everton. Wolves 2-2. Wolves still unsuccessful of winning a game. And Fulham won 2-1 against Brentford at home.
Yeah, so there was a few shocks, quite a few goals around. I watched the Tottenham game at the weekend. First half, all Villa. Second half, all Spurs. About as much as you need to know about that game, really. Tottenham played well second half. They deserved the goals. Villa kind of shut shop up and turned off, basically. And that's where they got the goals. Liverpool come from behind to beat Brighton. Man City struggling for players. Their injury hit. Ipswich was 1-0 up before they got their red card to Calvin Phillips. There was 2 yellow cards. Yeah, they was deserved. I've seen them. A player of Calvin Phillips' experience should know better. Forest 3-0. Forest keeps scoring goals. For me, Chris Wood keeps scoring from at FPL. Happy days. But another red card there in that game, West Ham. Once again, 2 yellow cards.
Yeah, I think even if he didn't have the first yellow, I think that challenge, sorry, was just abysmal. It could have ended the player's career. So I think it should have been a straight red anyway, even without the first yellow card.
My only issue with the yellows was he got booked on the 39th minute for his first one, and in stoppage time in the first half for his second. So close together. Normally, once you get booked on your yellow, you know you're on a
Yeah,
yellow.
it's like the
He kind of,
discipline isn't there.
yeah, um, yeah. So I'm guessing you're saying both red cards were deserved then.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, I watched the Forest one because obviously, we're being Nottingham boys. We don't support Forest, but it's just a huge thing that everyone's been on about. So I just thought I'd watch the highlights on Match of the Day.
I think the surprise result of the weekend is probably Bournemouth beating Man City. I think that would be my pick of the surprise, even though Fulham was 1-0 down and scored two very late goals to beat Brentford at home. Southampton, Everton, 6-pointer. I'm surprised Southampton got the win there. I'd have personally gone for a draw. But yeah, there's a few goals around, not much really to talk about. Anything else you want to talk about from the weekend?
Just obviously Nottingham Forest. They only got promoted. What is it? 3 seasons ago now. They're in the third season of the Premier League. And do you believe that they are above where they should be with sitting third? Do you think they belong there, or do you think they're just having a really lucky start to the season?
For what I've seen, I think it's deserved. By all means, I think it's deserved. You get what you put out, really. You get what you deserve in football. Swings and roundabouts. We all call it karma. End of the season, it levels itself out with penalties and red cards and all that kind of thing. They're playing well. Nuno, their manager's got him set up well.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
such a big turnaround from last season being in relegation battle to now potentially Champions League.
I don't think they'll finish Champions League. I think they'll finish mid-table comfortably. They've had a good start. I'm not naive or anything to think that it will carry on. They've got a few hard fixtures coming up. I know they've got City to come up. I think they've got Arsenal as well. But saying that, they beat Liverpool. Liverpool's only defeat this season was the 1-0 to Forest. I think Nuno's got him set up perfectly as the counter-attacking team, even
Yeah, and to
against
beat
the.
Liverpool at Anfield is tricky for big teams like look at Barcelona a couple of years ago in the Champions League. It is very tricky to beat Liverpool at Anfield.
Yeah, I think if you can remember Nuno being at Wolves
Yes,
a
I
few
can.
years ago, I think they played well. They just missed out on Europe or got Europe. Can't quite remember, but he played them quite well and got him playing. I think he's done the same with Forest, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the bloke. He's took a he's took a club that was in such a they wasn't in a bad position, but they was down near the bottom, and it just looked like it was going to get worse and worse for them.
Yeah, especially with the PSR point deduction last year. Yeah, good luck to him. I'm not a Forest fan. It's good for the city, by all means. It's good for our club because at the weekend we opened the nest up to the West Ham fans. That's money for our club. West Ham fans all went to the nest, so I can't
And if there's
really.
any West Ham fans listening, I'm sorry for the absurd prices that they charge.
Well, you got to make money these days, haven't you?
Yeah.
Talking about our club, Notts County. We both went Friday night in the FA Cup.
Yes, amazing 4-1, I believe it
Five
was.
5-1.
5-1. Yeah.
5-1. It was what started off the FA Cup proper after all the qualifying games. So, have you seen most of the games this FA Cup? The key
Yeah, I've
result?
seen quite a few of the replays and some of the. I'm quite surprised with some teams that haven't made it through, like the talk to Wrexham and Port Vale, Rochdale, Rotherham. Some big clubs that used to be big, let's say. It was quite shocking. And then you got some like Gainsborough Town, and it's there's a mix. There is a mixed group that got through, and obviously for the non-league clubs, it's a massive win. It's like their Wembley, so it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the month.
So, Jack, key results for me in the FA Cup was Lincoln City's defeated Cheshire United 4-0 on Monday night. Mansfield Town won 4-0 against Crews and Ashton. Harrogate Town edged out Wrexham in a 1-0 victory. Tamworth pulled off a major upset, knocking out Huddersfield. I don't know if you saw the goal from the throw-in. And Gainsbury Trinity advanced after winning their game. I think that game was on penalties, if I wasn't right. Gainsbury Trinity, I'm sure it finished 4-4.
Yeah, Gainsborough finished 4-4, and they went to score the winning penalty, making it 5-4 on pens.
And that was a non-league tie, that was. So, 4 ties went to penalties. Talking about penalties then. And 7 ties went to extra time. After this season, they've scrapped replays, which I don't agree with. But
No, I think
that's
for
another,
non-league clubs especially.
yeah. I don't mind it from round 3, where the big boys come in. I think round 1, 2, maybe round 3. So at least the lower league clubs could get a replay, maybe get a big team at home, but it is what it is. Did you know, Jack, that the money for the FA Cup isn't a lot?
I thought it
So,
was quite a bit.
so for round 1, if you won, so £45,000.
Take it in my back pocket.
Well, we would, yes, but for some clubs, it's not a drop in the ocean. I suppose if you lose, it's 15,000. Round 2, 75,000 for winning, 20,000 for losing. Third round, it's 115,000 for winning and 25,000 for losing. I suppose if you get to the third round, what are you looking at? Best part of $250,000.
It's a big jump, a hell of a big jump.
I think it's a lot for most League One, definitely League Two clubs, and obviously National League. It's make or break potentially for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, what are your 5 key games from the first round of the FA Cup?
I mean, Barnsley's victory. Barnsley secured a 3-1 win against Port Vale. Mark Roberts' goal was cancelled out, but Davis, Dunn, and Adam Phillips' goals assured Barnsley's progression. The team was solid and professional, and they had an amazing performance, and it was a highlight. Bristol Rovers drama. Bristol Rovers had a dramatic match against West Ham Supermere, which went to extra time. Connor Taylor's 95th minute header and Grant Ward's late goal secured them the 3-1 victory over the Rovers for the Rovers. Doncaster, on the other hand, their win. Doncaster Rovers won 1-0 against Barrow. The substitute Patrick Kelly scored the decisive goal, showcasing the team's resilience and ability to find a way up to a win. Hopefully they're not like that on Saturday when we play them, however. Kettering Town's upset. Kettering Town got knocked out by a League One side, Northampton Town, with a 2-0 win. This victory is a significant achievement for the 7th tier club. Harrogate Town also continued their FA Cup journey back by defeating Gainsborough.
I don't think that's right, Jack.
Sorry about that. I read the wrong team out then. Oh, it has been a long week. So yeah, Harrogate Town continued their FA Cup journey by defeating Wrexham. Jack Mulden's goal was enough to secure them a win.
So, my 5 games, your 5 games. We looking forward to the second round draw? Do we
Well,
think Do we think it's a decent draw? I know you're a bit pessimistic about our team, but
Yeah, well, we've drew Peterborough Town away in pre-season. We played them twice back to back, and we didn't even come out with a point over the both games. So I've got a feeling we're going to get absolutely pummeled. But I'm going to be there backing the boys, and hopefully we can have a drink afterwards and laugh it off, and then have the heart attack of watching the third round draw.
so yeah, in the second round draw, there's seven, sorry, non-league teams left. You got Dagenham Redbridge, Tamworth, Brackley Town, Solihull Moors, Kettering Town, Arborough Town, and Gainsbury Trinity. I think a few of them will probably get through, Jack, if I'm being honest. Uh, yeah, probably a couple of them. There's a few good ties there, but time will tell. I think that them games will be played on the 28th, 29th, and the 30th of this month.
Yeah, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
probably the Monday. So looking up to this weekend, Jack, Premier League fixtures. Would you like me to read them out for you?
Yeah, yes, you can do.
So we have Crystal Palace versus Fulham, West Ham versus Everton, Wolves versus Southampton, Brentford versus Bournemouth, Brighton versus Man City, Liverpool versus Aston Villa on the Saturday. On the Sunday, we have Man United versus Leicester, Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle United. We have Tottenham versus Ipswich, and then the big game on Sunday is Chelsea versus Arsenal. Any games
Yeah,
you're looking forward to?
I think Chelsea Arsenal is going to be a good game. Um, After last weekend's result and the midweek result, yes, last night, it's going to be interesting to see how Brighton and Hove get on against Manchester City, especially with City being on the road once again.
Yeah, I'm interested in watching Liverpool Villa. I think it could be interesting. Liverpool at home midweek. Villa have been away in Belgium. The travel probably plays a bit of effect to it, even though they should be used to it. You've obviously got City that played in Portugal, so
Yeah.
that might take an effect. They've got R5 kickoff. Liverpool Villa's 8 o'clock on Saturday. There's no early kickoff, Jack, this weekend in the Premier League. Do you
No, so
think?
go on.
Do you think the Premier League needs a early kickoff, or do you think it's okay without one?
Yes and no. No, because it ruins my bets, and yes, because it means we've got a full day of football. If you get where I'm coming from, we're not waiting for free for the kickoff. We can watch 12 o'clock, bang on Sky Sports. 3 o'clock, keep it on. Big games coming up. I mean, I'm surprised that Wolverhampton. I would have liked to see them on TV, see if they could secure a victory for this season for their 11th game. However, I don't think that's going to come about either. But yeah, I think there needs to be an early kickoff just on the basis for the fans.
Yeah, I don't know. For me personally, for my FPL, I like it not being an early kickoff because the deadline's a bit later. I ain't got to worry about it. It's not a early deadline. You have your time to be able to sort your team out. Um, I just think it's sometimes it's nice early kickoff, but
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
nice to relax.
I don't think it's crucial for me really. Do you?
I don't think it's crucial for the competition that is called the Premier League. However, I think for the fans, and I mean, I don't like an early kickoff for knots. I think when we have an early kickoff, it's less drinking time. But I honestly, it's mixed emotions. I believe there's pros and cons to it all, and I just couldn't give you an answer for definite right now.
Yeah. I think sometimes it depends what the game is. Sometimes it's a boring, drab game. But yeah. Do you think the teams that have been in Europe this midweek will affect their games at the weekend?
Yeah, I think for the likes of City and Villa, especially. I mean, Villa's obviously played a well. I'm gonna get this wrong. Belgium,
Yep.
yeah, and obviously City in Portugal. There's something not right. They're not going to be able to train for the game. They haven't really got a rest day. I mean, they so Villa come back tomorrow morning. You got Friday rest, and then you're playing Saturday away at Liverpool. So you haven't got time to see your family. The players are going to be down. Obviously, they come from a loss. I'm pretty sure they lost tonight. Can we get a
Who,
fact check on that?
who Aston Villa?
Yeah,
Yeah, they lost 1-0.
yeah. So morale's going to be down. Obviously, City 4-1. I think Pep's going to be worried about obviously Manchester and his future at City. And the players are obviously they're going to be used to it. They're pretty much all international players. They're used to playing away, but I just think the timing is too short. There's no rest, no training. You're going to come back tired tomorrow morning. So I think City and Villa are the two teams that I believe will not be playing to potential, and that's also followed by Tottenham. They're away in Turkey, so it would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I, I believe that too. I think sometimes going away and coming back into Europe, into domestic competition, is and can be a bit tricky. Right then, Jack, since you like a little gamble at the weekend, what is your 5 game ACCA for our listeners to put their £5 money on this weekend?
So if you're going to have a bet over the weekend or have this ACCA, I'm just going to say make sure you're over the 18 and not like me and gamble responsibly. So my fivefold ACCA for this Premier League weekend is we're going to start off with Bournemouth, uh, Brighton, Liverpool, Everton, and Nottingham Forest. £5 will return you £900 and 90 pence as of on Ladbrokes with your bet booster, and the odds on that without the bet booster are 160 to 1. So good luck, guys, and don't blame me if you lost a fiver.
Good luck, listeners. You'll definitely need it with the way he bets. Right then, Jack. Bit of a challenge quiz for you. Player's career path. I've
Here we
got a
go.
player. I've got a player. I'm going to give you the clubs one by one.
In
After I
order.
give you in order, they started off at and when they retired at.
Right.
When I give you a club, you then can give me a name of a player that you think it will be.
Okay. From each club.
Yeah, so I'll give you the first club, and you name me a player that you think it could be.
Okay.
And then when I give you the second club, where they went to second, you need to give me a player that's played for both clubs. Does that make sense?
Yes. Here we go. This is going to be dreadful.
Are you ready?
No.
So, the first club, Jack, is Liverpool.
What year is it?
So, it's the years it was at Liverpool is 1996 to 2004.
Oh my god. I would have been 2 when he left Liverpool. I haven't got a Scooby Doo.
Do you want to throw a name out?
I'm just gonna go with Gerard. I know it's wrong, but top of my head.
Unfortunately, Jack, that's incorrect.
What a shock.
Ne- Next club is from 2004 to 2005,
Right.
and that is Real Madrid.
Liverpool to Real Madrid. I've got a. It's like I would have been 2-3 in this situation. You would have been probably
Old.
about 70 odd.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I have a clue.
No. No, you can't. I
What
can give you.
country is it from?
I can actually give you a clue. He's got
Well,
89 international caps with 40 goals.
oh well, that's gonna really help. So
Just
let's
throw me a
think.
player. Throw me a player.
I'm gonna throw you a player. Let's go with Roberto Carlos.
Incorrect, my friend. Incorrect. So, after leaving Real Madrid in 2005, he then joined Newcastle United until 2009.
Is it Michael Owen?
It is correct. Well done. Well done. But then when he left Newcastle United, where did he go?
Oh, now you're asking. Did he go to Manchester United?
Yep. Where do you think he retired off at?
He retired. I know this one because believe it or not, this is when I was old enough to watch TV.
Oh,
He played at Stoke City, and I remember. I'm pretty sure he only appeared 8 times,
correct, yeah, he did.
and it's
Well
only
done.
because that was on the pub quiz at the weekend.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
Well, that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you have enjoyed this first episode, and I hope you come back again for the next week's episode. I will tell you the title, but I don't even think we've got it anymore. But a big thank you from me, and Christopher, would you like to say thank you and goodbye?
A big thank you from me too. See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.